Hi everyone! Welcome to session 2 of Drawing with Corrina. For those of you who don't know, I'm Corrina, and I'm a professional wildlife artist specializing in detailed, vibrant colored pencil drawings. Every session is meant to teach you one technique that'll help you achieve drawings that are more realistic, more detailed, and have richer, more vibrant color. Today's lesson is all about blending. Let's get started. So this session is about blending. You can see here I've made 3 different gradients. One from really light green down to a darker green with multiple colors in the mix. And these 2 are just apple green and Prussian green mixed together in a quick gradient. So let's start with this top one. One way to blend colored pencil is to take your white and go right over the top of your colors. Now you'll see here we didn't see it as much because it's lighter, but here you're going to be able to see that lightness come right through. It's going to lighten up your piece. But you have to use a lighter color in order to blend that. But keep in mind that it will lighten it up, so you want to go back over it with other colors as you get going. You can also use just a light version of these colors if you want to, but again, it will change that color a little bit. Any color you use will leave some remnant of itself in order to blend. White, light green, just don't use anything that's not these colors. So don't use blue or purple or anything like that in order to blend these together. You can also, as you learned in the first one, use the actual color, let's go down here, and just keep layering and keep layering until, in slightly different angles, fill in all that white until it is fully blended together. You can do that, especially if you're only using one color or a couple colors. That works. Another way to do it, especially if you're using more colors and the gradient gets a little trickier, is to use a blending stump. There are a bunch of different types of blending stumps. This is one type. As you can see, I've blended with this before, and I blended with black. So you need to be very careful that you don't blend with one color and then move to another and leave dark streaks. You want to make sure you clean it off or sharpen it or do something that will make it so it can blend in another color without causing any problems. And then you take that and you just use it, hard pressure over your pieces here. Lots of pressure. Fill that in. And that pressure is actually just really smearing the pigment into the grain of the paper. I use this technique a lot because it doesn't change the pigment of the color that I already have, makes a smooth transition here, and you can draw over the top of it again without causing any sort of problem. Lots of times when you blend like this, you'll lose a little bit of your detail, like if you're doing water or something like that. For example, my loon drawing, I did this in the water, and then I blended it, and then I went back over it with the colors again, and then at that point I didn't have to worry about any of the white grain showing through because I'd already covered it in, and I could do detailed work on top of it. So this is what I use the most. The thing you have to worry about this is you have to have enough layers. So let's say down here I did this, but I didn't have enough layers. If I try to blend that, it'll blend some, but you won't get, even with really hard pressure here, you're going to have some of that white showing through because you just don't have enough layers to fill that in. So make sure you have enough layers to get the pigment in all of those white spaces. Over here we're going to use odorless turpenoid. You can use a paintbrush, you can use a Q-tip, you can use a little piece of a tissue. I'm going to use a Q-tip, and I'm going to dip it into my turpenoid. And you can see it's wet with turpenoid. You can also use linseed oil or baby oil or things like that. And this, lightly take it over your piece, and it actually turns the pigment into a paint and blends really beautifully. The only problem with this, and the reason I don't use this very often, although I know a lot of people use it all the time and they love it, is that it really does turn it into a paint, so the edges can be difficult to do, to keep real crisp and clean. So just be aware that it is a paint after that, and it's wet. You need to be very careful that you don't smear it or go like that and get it, on your hand and things like that. But it does blend really beautifully. And again, you need to be careful that if you get blending over here and then you try to blend light, you're going to have a dark remnant left on your Q-tip. But be careful, like I said, that turns into paint. So if you try to go back over it, sometimes if you don't let it dry, you're actually turning this pigment into paint immediately as well, and it can make it so it doesn't work very well. So you need to wait until it dries completely, and then you can go back over it. The nice thing about this is that, let's do it right here, if you don't have very many layers, like with this, you can still blend. It turns it into paint, it fills it in. You can still blend without as many layers. So that is a bonus about using an odorless paint thinner or some sort of oil. So, recap on your 3 main types of blending for colored pencil. Using a lighter color, especially white, to burnish and color in and blend. Using a blending stump to blend. Make sure you have enough layers to get it really in there, and you can go back over it. Or using oil or a turpenoid type substance in order to turn it into paint and blend like that. You don't need as many layers in order for that to work. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session and join me for the next one.